Welcome to our continuing series Questions and Answers from the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. Today's subject is Consciousness Part 16 from Sri Aurobindo. Certainly, the overmind descent is necessary for those who want the supramental change. Unless the overmind opens, there can be no direct supramental opening of the consciousness. If one remains in the mind, even illumined mind or the intuition, one can have indirect messages or an influence from the supramental, but not a direct supramental control of the consciousness or the supramental change. It is the experience of the transcendent planes as reflected on the higher planes of consciousness, overmind, etc., in relation to them. Just as one can have an experience of Sachidananda and these planes as reflected in the mind or vital or physical consciousness, so one can have it there, but on each plane it appears in a different way. Overmind experience comes when one rises to the overmind plane and sees things as they are on that plane, or as they look to the consciousness which sees the other planes from the overmind view. When one is in the mind, life, or physical plane, then it is the overmind influence that comes down and modifies the mind, life, or physical workings in greater or less degree according to the possibilities or the thing to be done at the moment. It is not the soul power as it is in its own plane, but works under mental, vital, or physical conditions. Its power is more subjective than objective. It is easy for it to change our view and experience of the object and our knowledge about it, but not so easy for it to change the object or its nature or circumstances or the outward state of things in that plane. There are no overmind dangers. It is only the lower consciousness misusing overmind or higher consciousness intimations that can make a danger. There are also no overmind falsehoods. The overmind is part of the ignorance in this sense that it is the highest knowledge to which the ignorance can attain. But the knowledge is still divided, and so can be a knowledge of parts and aspects of the truth, not the integral knowledge. As such, it can be misused and turned into falsehood by the mind. It is perfectly natural. In these experiences, you become aware of the consciousness proper to other planes. Thus, you get the experience of being a form of the divine consciousness, the Mother. And while the experience lasts, you feel her power. When the experience ceases, you come back to your normal state. The power withdraws. These experiences are proper to the consciousness with the overmind knowledge, and they prepare it for transformation. It is perfectly simple. It is the attraction towards the divine consciousness represented in a concrete experience. It is the concreteness of the experiences that puzzles you. All experience there tends to be concrete. There are no abstract truths as in the mind. Even thought in the overmind is a concrete force and a palpable substance. It is only the supermind that has an absolute freedom from error. The overmind presents truth in all sorts of arrangements, all of which taken together presents something like the whole truth. But these again are reflected in you in the terrestrial consciousness or conveyed to your terrestrial consciousness by the descent from the higher planes. But in receiving it, the terrestrial consciousness can make mistakes in interpretation, in understanding, in application, in arrangement. Before things become pakka in the consciousness, the doing of work does carry the consciousness outward, unless one has made it a sadhana to feel the force greater than oneself, working through one. That, I suppose, is why the Shankarites considered work to be, in its own nature, an operation of the ignorance and incompatible with the condition of realization. But as a matter of fact, there are 3 stages there. First, in which the work brings you to a lower as well as outer consciousness, so that you have afterwards to recover the realization. In which the work brings you out, but the realization remains behind or above, not felt while you work, but as soon as the work ceases, you find it there, just as it was. Third, in which the work makes no difference, for the realization or spiritual condition remains through the work itself. You seem this time to have experienced, no?